Andrea, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her business. So just to get started, what's your business name?
It's Andrea Ashley Co.
And tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's a custom skincare and aromatherapy line. And basically what we do is skincare product development, and also I take that right down to the retail line. So even though I create lines from scratch for businesses, I actually do it one-on-one per client too. So I get to know their needs and their individual wants for skincare and formulate from scratch for their needs.
Fantastic. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm going to dive right in. We're excited that you're here. We're really appreciative that you come and talk to us about your brand and your business and how you got to where you are and help inspire other women entrepreneurs out there.
All right.
So if you can, what was the inspiration and motivation behind Andrea Ashley Co. Or Andrea Ashley Co. and branding specifically? What was the inspiration?
All different things. So there's like 3 different questions in one. So the retail line, the inspiration was that there's a big gap in the industry for essential oils, I found.
Yeah.
There was either really big lines where you weren't really getting to connect with an actual clinical aromatherapist, someone with the hands-on training, and you weren't really sure what you're actually getting in your essential oils. So there's a lot of information out there where people weren't really knowing what was honest and what was safe and what wasn't. So that was the inspiration starting my own essential oil line, just to kind of close that gap. As for the product development line, that's my favorite thing to do. It's just the creative process over and over again. So it's like a little fun puzzle. I get to formulate for a specific skincare or a specific brand. And that started from working in spas. I just realized that everyone just kind of was given the same skincare. You know, like 5 people would walk in with acne and they'd all be given the same product when the reason they each had acne was totally different.
Right.
So that's why I was like, no, we need to customize it. We need to break it down and really formulate it for the individual person instead of a skin type.
And from a natural perspective too. So it's not just chemicals, right? So you're breaking it down from a clinical but natural level.
Yeah, exactly.
So it sounded like the inspiration was that you saw that there was a gap in the market and that there was kind of room for this niche, and you were excited to get going on it.
When you were first thinking about branding yourself, how come you decided to go with your name rather than calling it, Sunshine Essential Oils or something like that?
I didn't. So I had a bunch of different businesses before this and named it everything else but me. And
which happens a lot. A lot of people start and they have like 6 different business names. You're not alone.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I tried a bunch of different ones and none of them flew. And when I met to do this last shot, and I was like, I really want to do the product development side, because the more you start a business, you start to realize what you like and what you don't like about what you're doing.
Yeah.
So out of the last 10 years of these little mini businesses, I got closer and closer to fine-tuning what I'm actually good at and what I want to be doing on the day-to-day. Yeah, so
I think that's really important for a lot of business owners to recognize too, that you go through so many different little mini businesses as you try to figure things out.
And that's good though. That's a learning curve. You just jump into something, right in, you don't really know what doesn't work yet, right? Or what does. So when you get to that point where here's the magic, you know exactly what you want to be and how you want to present it. That's
exactly. And it takes a while to get there. It doesn't happen the first try.
And I like the idea of branding your name. It works for a lot of businesses because it's really separating you as the expert, or putting you up as the expert in your field, and that you know and you understand the product line.
Which is what you were just mentioning, that you like the whole clinical, development part of it. So what better way than to brand yourself as that expert, right? So it's kind of twofold.
And actually that's what made the biggest difference. So like I was saying, I did not want to be the face of my brand. I love the product development side, right? Like I really wanted to hide behind it. I didn't even want my own line to begin with. But when I figured out the product development side that I wanted to do, when I went to my website developers, they're like, no, you totally your brand. Like you need to be it. They are the ones who actually are like, this is it. Like you're it.
They knew what they were doing.
And this flew after. It was like way more cohesive. It's just like people understood what I was doing a lot more rather than just some name out there and disconnect.
And it's a beautiful brand. We talked about how much we love it, and that was really what stands out to us the most when we see your social media and your website, because it's all cohesive. That's really what we try to teach at Brand Ambition, the cohesiveness of that brand along everything that you do, whether it's your business card or it's your website and that kind of stuff, any banner, is the cohesiveness. So what was the inspiration behind your brand specifically?
Well, I don't know if you can see it, but they're actually A's. So the flower
Oh,
is
no
a
way.
lowercase a, and it's all linked together.
Oh, clever.
That is beautiful.
So they knew I definitely want it to be flowery, because that's kind of my style. I didn't want to go green, which is really important to me because every natural skincare line
Is
out
doing
there,
green.
It's green, yeah.
and branding, when I was starting, they were definitely pushing it because that's their job. And that's what people identify as being natural.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing I did stick to my guns. And I really wanted to be purple, and purple actually was indicated as being more corporate.
Oh, no way.
And that was like the feedback that we got. But it didn't work out that way. I'm like, no, I really feel like we can make it not that way.
Yeah.
And it paid off. So
It's
You still
beautiful.
kept it really light and clean though, and so
Yeah.
to me the purple, like a heavy purple could be corporate, but this is really like I like it. It's light and fun,
And it's feminine, but not being too feminine.
Yeah,
So
it's not
because
pink.
the Andrea Ashley part could have been, some people would have gone calligraphy style and made it kind of very whimsical in that sense. But because you did it clean, a large kind of bold, like large font, that it makes it kind of look cleaner rather than super feminine.
yeah.
I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I also didn't want to be super feminine, because even though I have like a total girly side, that's not who I am on the day to day. Like, I'm not the girl who's always going to be in heels. I'm definitely not the girl who's always going to be in makeup.
Yeah.
And I am not the girl who has it all together, right? And I wanted my line to represent that we can figure it out and make something that appeals and works for the everyday.
Often when we work with clients and when we're in the brand development process, it's really teaching for yourself to come out in your brand, because you have to be with it every single day for the rest of your life. And so it should reflect you, not so much that it's like overboard you, but that it represents you in a subliminal way. So you're saying, I'm not, overly girly every day. So why would you make a brand that is, right?
Exactly.
So and I love that. Yeah, that's great. So I always like to ask very inspirational questions. I like to know the person from a different level. Katie loves to get the content, which is always good for people who are watching. But I like to kind of dive a little deeper and ask more inspiration-based.
Okay.
So if you could choose one word that best describes your journey as an entrepreneur, what would that word be? And you can take some time.
One word to describe my journey as an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Can it be hyphenated?
Yeah.
Self-growth.
Self-growth.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. You hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, when you were talking about earlier before we started this interview, you were saying that there's so much that you go through at the start and things that don't work and don't work out. So you always have to be like recrafting yourself and your vision for what it's going to look like. So definitely I think you have to be prepared to be changing yourself.
Absolutely. You have to be fluid.
Yeah.
If you're a really rigid person, it may not fly, or you'll learn to adjust pretty quickly.
Yeah. As an entrepreneur, you need to know how to adapt just at any moment's notice. And any entrepreneur that goes into it thinking everything's going to be perfect, I have the perfect business plan, I have the perfect this, I have the perfect that, there will be a break. It's not going to be that. The definition, in my opinion, of an entrepreneur should be someone who's always kind of adapting and changing and learning and growing, because that's what it is. And that's what your clients want, right? They're always changing and learning and growing, so.
That's it. The market changes. Consumers change, their needs change, trends change. Like, this has only been a year, 9 months of Andrea Ashley.
Wow.
And the industry in that time has already changed,
Wow.
and needs and what they want. So for example, like this cleanser I did with a virgin cocoa cream, and it's huge and it's really popular and it's wicked, I love it, but everyone in the green industry is starting to slowly pull away from coconut oil.
Wow.
So we're starting to see You know, so you have to be adaptable.
Trends, right?
Completely.
Trends. And
Yeah.
you think in the natural kind of spectrum, in natural kind of beauty or organic anything, you wouldn't think trends, you think, well, these materials have been around for a long time.
But like anything, it becomes reborn again and new again and exciting again. So
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word.
How important is social media to everything that you're doing? Because I know you said that there's been so many changes in your industry, but there's also changes online for the different tools to use in social media. So how much of that has an impact on your business?
huge. I feel like a lot of my brand recognition was on social media.
Right.
So before I was getting sales, I knew my business was growing because of social media.
Yeah.
So whether it was like numbers in followers or starting to have interacting content, or even going to trade shows and people overhearing Andrea Ashley, like I'd be like, hi, I'm Andrea Ashley. They'd be like, someone would come up and be like, oh, I follow you on Twitter, or they would see my card and be like, oh, you're like. So the brand recognition happened before the business, like the sales part.
Yeah.
So the social media was really important. And that changes a lot too. So first when I started, I was very Facebook based.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing my crew, like my followers and my kind of tribe is definitely Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot now, actually, for people who are after sort of the younger crowd or the more, I don't want to say trendy maybe perhaps, but
a little.
Yeah.
They like beautiful things.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what sells my line, because essential oils, I mean, I'm really a dot in the hemisphere, especially when you're competing against Young Living and doTERRA. So Instagram put me out there because people are drawn to this, like the labeling, the branding, and me and my words, whereas Facebook, for some reason, it didn't come across the same way.
Yeah.
Were there any specific social media strategies that you thought really worked well at the beginning, especially for you?
It was trial and error, a lot of it. And the branding cohesiveness was a game changer. I found before that, no one really could catch on and follow you.
Disconnect, right?
Yeah. Persistence and consistency were the two things that really changed it. I realized like I had to be posting consistently, whether it was every day. And it had to be so consistent. Like it had to be the same sort of content all the time. Like I couldn't break away. So when I had my last business, I might do skincare, but then I might put something in about health or a recipe about a shake or something, because my skincare is holistic, so it's encompassing all of that. But as soon as you put that, consumers like, I don't know what you're about anymore. So it had to be skincare, essential oils all the time. Yeah.
I see that a lot with coaches or professionals who get online and they sell like their packages, and each package looks really different. It can be confusing to your followers. So in those cases, usually better to brand yourself or to stick with one product, especially at the start when you're initially growing.
Katie says all the time, I love when she says it, when she's trying to educate different people who are kind of jumping in the marketing world, is you'll get tired of your marketing before your customers or
before it stops working.
Before it stops working. And I think that happens with a lot of people. So you saying that consistency and about the same type of thing, that's just, further shows that really does help.
It's so true, and for me, completely, it is redundant, because I feel like everyone should know this by now. I'm sure I've said this 100 times. But then I'll post it again, and on Instagram it'll be like 72 likes, like great content. I'm like, it's not different. It's not getting old to them. It's still new to a lot of people.
And that's just it, right? It's new to a lot of people. A lot of people are seeing your stuff for the first time, or a lot of people haven't seen your stuff for a month now, and they're like, oh yeah, I love that.
I think it's important for business owners to recognize as well that their feed goes into, or like their Instagram feed goes into someone else's and is mixed with all the hundreds of other people that they're following. So if I choose to follow you for essential oil stuff, it's because I want to learn things about that from you. And I have lots of other things in my feed that balance it out. So they're not going to get as sick of it as you think that they will, because they're just not seeing it as much as you are.
We
Completely.
we see a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting off, they come up with this great idea and then they do it for 5-6 months and then all of a sudden they're like, well, this isn't working as fast as I would like it to be, so I'm going to learn this now.
Yeah.
I'm become certified in this. And then same thing happens and then
Yeah.
you're certified in like a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then there's,
Trying to push 100 different programs.
I think
Yeah.
that's a mistake.
yeah,
Definitely. And it takes longer than you think.
Yeah.
So a lot of people quit before it starts to work.
yeah,
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to social media and your marketing strategy. They're like, I'm not seeing any sales from this, but it actually takes a lot longer
Yeah.
than you think to get people to, one, recognize your brand, to trust what you're selling, and 3, then actually inquire.
Yeah.
Like it takes a little bit.
yeah. So sticking to it, really.
Completely.
You know, trusting in your product and sticking to it for longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
So I'd love to ask you about your first client. So we're just talking about social media, and for a long time, business owners, they sell first to their grandma, first to your best friend, that kind of thing. So
And then it's friends of friends after that. Yeah.
yeah, what was the first client that you had where you're like, oh my gosh, this is working?
They found me on Instagram.
Yeah.
So someone completely outside my realm, like I didn't know them at all. We don't even have mutual friends. Like we do now because I've been working with her for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I found. Was my first client outside of people that I knew,
Yeah.
and that was a full product development.
Wow.
So I actually created their entire line, and they sell all over North America. So that's when I was like, okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The power of Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people sometimes see Instagram as kind of this like fluffy tool just to kind of get some more content and that kind of stuff, but you can really get great clients from Instagram because they build a trust with your brand before they even meet you. Yeah.
I find Instagram feels a lot more clubby still than Facebook. It's like, oh, you're in the Instagram club, and if I follow you on Instagram, it's like a little bit more special than some of the other social medias that are out there right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And from like a content creator point of view, I feel more myself on Instagram than I do on Facebook. On Facebook, I don't know if it's because it's been around longer or because all of your friends from high school who's known you forever.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a little bit of a judgment thing too. So you're a little more careful about what you write. Whereas Instagram, I'm totally me. I'm totally my brand.
Yeah.
I'm saying it how I want to.
Yeah.
I'm saying what I want to. Whereas Facebook, I'm still a little bit holding back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really makes the difference. So when people read that content, they're really getting what I'm about.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on any other social media? So we're talking about Facebook, Instagram. Are you on any other ones? Like Snapchat or Twitter or
Twitter and LinkedIn.
LinkedIn? Okay, yeah. LinkedIn's a great one for sure. I think it's
LinkedIn would be my
sleeper.
second.
Oh, really? Your
Yeah.
second? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people, it's untapped,
I
you
think
know?
so too.
But the people who
Yeah.
know how to access that and harness that power
Yeah.
are doing great on LinkedIn.
Yeah. They're distinctly different worlds, I think.
Completely.
I saw a report on that actually that said that people that are on Instagram are not on Facebook and vice versa. Like they are almost different communities.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I feel that, and I would never get rid of my Facebook because Facebook was my first love. So
Yeah, we all learned that.
And you,
Yeah.
and you post great content, so don't stop.
Yeah.
But I don't feel as a business standpoint, I'm not getting as much from Facebook as I am from LinkedIn and Instagram. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. And we that's another kind of nugget of information that we really try to educate is every social media platform is different depending on the person as well as the business, right? So it's finding the one that works for you and empowering yourself through it, right? So because Instagram doesn't work for everybody, but used in the right way, it could be. So
Yeah.
Perfect.
Another question I wanted to ask was sort of about the development of your private product line, because I know at first you said you just wanted to do product development for other companies so that they could grow and you could sort of formulate, but then there happened to be a demand for it. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
As people started learning more about what I did, they wanted on a smaller scale. So they heard that I was developing, they knew that my background was clinical aromatherapy, they knew that I did organic skincare science and organic skincare formulating. And so they were starting to come to me with just questions at first, like what can I use for this or what can I use for that, and what essential oil and should I use for this, and what brand of essential oil, or where should I get my carrier oils, and it kind of just started like that. To the point where people just started blatantly asking me, like, I want something from you. So it just got to that point.
It's a great problem to have.
And at first I was just doing it like off the cuff, so I didn't really have the brand. I was just talking to them one-on-one, getting to know their needs. It's like, well, what is your diet? What is your skincare? Like, what are your hormones like? What happens monthly or seasonally with your skin? And I was just formulating from scratch for them. And it just continued to grow from there. So I created just the basic line, which is the cleanser, and I did that just because it's pH balanced for the skin.
Which is this one right here.
And that's just because I wanted something super clean and pH balanced skin that everyone could use to take off their makeup and clean the skin without stripping it or dehydrating it.
I love that.
And then the the moisturizer is a moisturizing base, again, pH balanced skin. It's created so that way it helps pull everything into the deeper layers of the skin, but it's totally custom, so no one just purchases that it is. They talk to me and I add in the carrier oils or botanical extracts or essential oils based on their needs. So it's still very, very custom. I stayed true to that, but I did the basics so people can pick up and play if they need to.
Fantastic. I love it.
I like that because I think a lot of business owners, when they start, they're like, I'm going to formulate, I'm going to start my own line, I'm going to do all of it, and then they try to eat the entire elephant at once, and they get completely overwhelmed. So focusing on one line and then moving on to the other sort of project when
they start
your
all
business
at once.
called for it makes sense to me.
Yes, and I do that a lot with my product development clients. People always want to come and they're like, I want a 7-range line. And they want all of these products made and done in a couple of months. And the reality is product development of one product takes 6 to 12 months for one. And people lose their focus. Like it's tough, and especially the green industry is becoming so much more popular and so trendy that there's so much more information out there. So the people who are trying to start a business in it and doing product development are then emailing me every other day, being like, I heard about this new product, or I heard that this new ingredient, or I heard this ingredient causes this. So you need your focus. You need to have laser focus and just execute one product that is great from start to finish, and then bring in the others as you go.
Do you remember a time where you were unsure about your career path?
That just ended yesterday. Absolutely. And especially being an entrepreneur, I mean, I've definitely had jobs in between over the last 12 years, to pay the bills. But there's always been an element of self-employed or small business that I've had on the side, and I don't think there was ever a time that I was like, I'm definitely in the right spot at the right time.
Right.
It's a struggle.
And we always like to ask that question because we want others to know that they're not alone in their struggle and their thought process and kind of developing to the end goal of being somewhere that you want to be. But even then, it's always changing, it's always growing. You don't even know if you'll be still doing a product line or you'll still, it might change and adapt 10 years from now. And we just want people to know that that's okay. But focus on the now,
Absolutely. It changes all the time, and your consumers will dictate it for you. You'll learn really quickly what people want and what they don't want.
What are your long-term goals as a businesswoman on that kind of track?
I would like to still do the product development because that's super fun. I love it. And help other people build their green beauty lines. I have an online magazine that I would really want to grow.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It really is. It looks like a lot of time and thought and energy has gone into it.
I want it to be different, and the same with my own line. Like, I just want something that women do for themselves that feels good for themselves, that isn't about vanity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. It's about feeling beautiful, but it's not like to the end goal to be like I am.
It's not a facade.
Like I want
feeling it
completely. I want them to use these products because of self-care. Like I want you to be like, I want to take care of myself. I want to treat myself good.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like, if you use this,
Yeah.
you're gonna be a brand new person and you're gonna look like J-Lo. I don't want that. I just want to encourage women to be super happy, comfortable with themselves and in their own skin, and that's what I want the magazine to be too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've read any of it, but we have a lot of good contributors and they're so aligned with that as well. It's just about inner beauty and self-care and self-love and just inspiring women.
Yeah.
It's like a tribe against like
For
vanity
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, tearing each other down and
Yes.
pointing out all of our flaws. Like we know they're there.
Yeah.
We don't need anyone else to help us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't agree more.
Yeah, and I think that whole compulsion is so strong among women entrepreneurs, because when you go into business for yourself, you're so vulnerable. Like you're out there, this is my
Yes.
project. Do you accept me? Do you reject me?
Yeah.
And so really quickly, women entrepreneurs, I find in particular, no drama, like we want to be authentic, we
Yes.
legitimately support each other, because really quickly you're at your ground truth.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're constantly self-reflecting every day.
yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
And
Right?
especially when your name is on the line.
Yes.
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 You're,
Yeah.
You're
you
pointing
can't
yourself-
hide
No.
because at that point, if you named it something else, there's still a disconnect where you can be like, that's not me. They're
Yeah, that's the brand, right?
yeah. It's not that they don't want me or they don't like me, but
Yeah.
when it is you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Really just being honest to yourself and to other people
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. Going to kind of take it a different direction.
Okay.
What is your favorite book?
There's lots.
You don't have
Like
to
as a novel or just in general?
in general.
I forget what it's called.
One that inspires you, let's say.
Her name is Dr. Jessica Wu, I believe, and
Yeah.
she wrote a book, and it was all about skincare, but from like nutrition and like a doctor, like Western medicine type of view.
Yeah.
And I think I read that 4 years ago,
Yeah.
and that changed my whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting that, like for example, if you eat a lot of tomatoes, it can help like reduce sunburn. So if you're out in the sun for like things like that,
Did you
like, the
say
whole
that
book
it's-
was about that.
I heard somewhere that it's like it's
Like
red and red,
homeopathy.
but it's like red, like so the tomato is red and you're red, so it kind of cancels each other out. I don't know, something like that.
That's
Might
like
be
the
why.
principles of homeopathy, where
Yeah.
like cures life,
Oh,
kind of,
gotcha.
or something like that. But that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last question: what do you do to stay centered?
Lately, it's more about balance.
Yeah.
Before, like maybe last year, I was very still into mindfulness and meditation and taking my yoga classes, and that's what kind of helped me because I'm hyper and creative, so yoga and meditation is my balance, right?
Yeah.
Now it's not. I've actually stopped doing a lot of exercise and meditation, and now it's boundaries. It's just, you know, I'm done work at this time.
Yep.
And I just will not answer my
A
phone. I
lot of
won't.
people have a difficulty of knowing their threshold,
Yeah.
but then they're the ones that are allowing themselves to feel stressed like that because
Yeah.
they feel like I got it. But when you know your boundary, it's okay. It's okay to
Yeah.
have a boundary.
Mhm.
And it actually, I found it actually worked better for my business anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
thrive.
completely. And one, I think people respect you a little bit more when you do set your own boundaries. And two, if you're answering all the time, your clients start to expect that.
Yeah.
And you almost pigeonhole yourself because you're not going to be able to keep up with that as your business grows. It's
Yeah.
fine when you have one client, but what happens as your business grows, you're not going to be able to keep up with that
Yeah.
demand that you set for yourself.
Yeah.
That's a great
Setting up systems at the start that are sustainable for
Yeah.
later is so difficult. And I know a lot of business owners, they set up their business at the start with 4 or 5 clients and assume that this is the way it's going to be.
Mhm.
And then later on you have to certainly readjust, because
Yeah.
you're right, it's just not sustainable to
Mhm.
keep
Yeah.
treating everybody like, you know, taking a 7 p.m. call. I think it's great customer service, but
Yeah, but then you're exhausted and you're never off, and then tomorrow morning you're tired, and it's kind of that
Completely.
chain reaction.
Yeah, you're no longer able to give the best of your ability or your services, and when the change does happen, you can end up losing clients because they think you're no longer giving them the same quality service.
Right.
yeah.
Which,
That's a really good piece of information. Yeah. Yeah, I like that, to kind of set your precedent, from the start, kind of. Yeah, I like that. Well, we're really happy that you joined us today. Can you tell us, do you have an event coming soon, I think? Do you have an event coming up?
that is just for local businesswomen. So
Yeah.
we're kind of connecting with local businesswomen. We're doing a green beauty night, so
Yeah.
everyone's kind of coming over, especially for businesswomen because we tend to neglect ourselves a little bit and have busy schedules. So we're going to do a green beauty night. So we're going to get to play and make all products from scratch based on each of your individual skincare
And
needs.
what day is it, and how can people find out about it?
It is June 16th, so it's coming super soon,
Yeah.
and it's from 7 to 9,
Yeah.
and they can find about it if they find me on Facebook and just PM me
Yeah.
or email me at hello@andreaashley.ca.
Perfect. And your website?
andreaashley.ca.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure there's so much information right in this kind of 20 minutes that we're here that people are going to be able to learn from and get inspired from. And we welcome you back anytime to chat.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you so
guys.
much.
I feel like we should cheers.
Yeah. Sure.